What up, guys? Welcome back to another video on Earth2. Now, it is a sad day today because the bowl combo has decided to step away from the Earth2 platform for the time being. Maybe not step away completely, but at least take a step back while he looks at the other metaverse platforms out there. Bowl combo is currently really into the sandbox, which I did explore earlier in my content creation days, and it seems like there's a bit of a E2 boys club happening over there with Odyssey, Bowl Combo, and Meta. I have to say, I'm quietly disappointed that I wasn't invited to the threesome. It could have been a foursome, and it would have been fantastic. But nonetheless, those guys are having a great time over there. And when I first explored the sandbox, I did like it. I didn't mind the pixel art. I know it can be a bit childlike, but it seems like it's the flavor of the maybe month or the year at least, and people do enjoy that kind of retro active pixel kind of style. But today in this video, I want to focus on what's happening with the community right now, and I feel like with a few big names, content creators in the Earth2 community now having gone, and big ones. I know the few smaller ones have come and gone, but the big ones, Earth2 Odyssey, Earth2 Mastery, Earth2 Meta, and now the bowl combo are stepping back. It kind of is a sign that things are on shaky ground. For me anyway. You may have your own opinion on what that actually means, but for me, it does indicate to me that there's a reason why people are stepping away, and it's not purely just because there's a lack of content. I mean, there is a lack of content, but I imagine that even if Meta didn't leave the platform due to being harassed and bullied and just like so much defamatory and derogatory crap abuse aimed at him, he probably would have taken a step back anyway due to the lack of content and what's actually happening. But I want to take a moment to rewatch the bowl combos video and just add my little 2 cents commentary, just some aspects of what he's saying and how I feel about it as well. So with that said, let's go, let's do it.
My decisions, my current stance on the Earth2 platform as a whole, and kind of why I backed off the dedicated videos and the more dedicated coverage that I had been providing for the platform for the last 7 months now or so. In December 2020, I actually came across the Earth2 platform, I believe from a Facebook ad like a lot of us did, and at first I didn't give it really any credence at all, but I saw the ad a couple times over a 2-day period, and I decided to take a look. I checked the platform.
And I hear this a lot. A lot of people, or the devs, I think initially said that they had their explosive run through a TikTok content creator. Someone made it go viral through TikTok, and that's how it exploded. But I feel like everyone that I've come across said that they found it through Facebook ads. But and that's how I found it too.
I looked at the community, I looked at some of the information that was out there, which was very minimal at the time because it was still very new, but
I'm going to skip through this, by the way.
Very exciting, and the concept of making a metaverse with an underlying economic system that allows users to take advantage of things outside of traditional gaming, create revenue streams, basically create a whole secondary world. That obviously was very enticing to me. Being a gamer,
100%. Like, how many of us have played SimCity or The Sims? Even on the level of The Sims, I really enjoyed flexing my creative muscles, creating your own home. Like, I would always download those hack packs where you can just have unlimited money and have all these, third-party created devices, tables, and just furniture, right? And you can kind of design your house the way you wanted. And Earth2 kind of offered that opportunity for me. I thought this could be like an advanced version of The Sims or the Sim City, where you can create your own space, you can create your own world and immerse yourself into it. And tying it back to Ready Player One, I think that's really why a lot of people were kind of captured. We enjoyed the movie, and it captured our imagination, and so did the marketing in that sense.
Obviously, there was also a side interest or a side allure to the investment side of this, which was something very new for me, being a traditional gamer.
Myself as well, but that was, I dare say that was probably 20% of my interest. 80% lay in the actual gameplay and the potential of this new world. 20% was like, oh, okay, maybe I can make some money, because there was that element advertised within the website.
But there was obviously a little bit of excitement and interest in the idea or the potential of being able to make money from buying a virtual land space. So, that was the reason why I got into the platform. That was what drew me to the platform. And like many other people, I think that Earth2 was our first exposure to a virtual land metaverse project like this. Now, I know for many of us, we've seen...
For me as well, as soon as I started getting into Earth2, I did my research, and then I found Mega Cryptopolis, Decentraland, Sandbox, and I think there's much more now, and there's a few clones of Earth2. But yeah, definitely Earth2 was the first one that kind of introduced the whole concept of creating your own metaverse.
Since learned quite a bit about the larger space of metaverses and virtual land as a whole, but Earth2 was our entry into that space. So very quickly after I joined the Earth2 platform, I realized that I enjoyed it enough I wanted to start covering it on my YouTube channel, which is exactly what I did. Recently, there were some accusations that were levied against the platform, and while I didn't 100% agree with the main accusation that was being thrown around there, I definitely understood how people could be very off-put by this type of platform and by this type of experience.
He's talking about the scam videos.
I chose to continue covering the platform after
Big
those
Fry,
accusations
Kira
came
TV,
out,
City Up, and all that.
Also about
Up
this
echelon.
time that I started having my own concerns about the platform. And ironically, these weren't even directly related to the things that were being talked about in these videos. And I think it all started with not the accusations themselves, but the way the Earth2 team chose to...
So I agree with what Ball Combo is saying. Initially, my concerns weren't the financial side, the fact that people feel like it's a Ponzi scheme or a pyramid scheme or anything like that. The initial concern was just that it potentially could be a project that doesn't have enough either backing or experience with regards to team and development to actually pull this off. I just felt like the whole concept of a metaverse was so far-fetched in a way that it couldn't be actually done, and that was a concern. Not so much that, oh, they're going to run away and rug pull me with and I lose all my money.
Get ready, because we're going to jump right into it, and we're going to go right through the reasons here.
Ready?
Reason number one was the way that the negative feedback from these YouTubers was handled, and the way the negative feedback that was presented to the Earth2 content creators was handled. So when these accusations were made, the Earth2 team reacted in probably the least expected way, and that was to do absolutely nothing.
So that is a question I want to pose to you guys. Did you feel that they should have reacted differently, should have responded? Because I feel like up until this point, there has been no real genuine response from the dev team or the company or Shane regarding those scam videos, other than the fact that he comes out and says, "We are not a scam. This is not a scam." I would not, like, okay, give us a proper response. Like, the scam videos have laid out quite a few statements, claims, assertions. Let's have a rebuttal from the team. But yeah, there was none. And was I surprised? In a way, I was surprised, and I was also disappointed. I did hear that they were going to release an official statement that the content creators or the community can actually use to rebut some of the claims, but that doesn't seem to have happened either.
Now, I can understand why silence is sometimes the best answer in certain instances, but I also believe that actions speak louder than words, and what they did next kind of started a chain reaction of concerns that kept snowballing further and further downhill for me. So what they decided to do was release a new video of the game application with a buggy moving across the terrain to show off terrain deformation. Now, this was a huge red flag to me, guys, because if you have a bunch of people that are waiting for you to make a metaverse, showing off terrain deformation is literally the last thing any of us care about.
I feel like Ball Combo has toned this down a little bit. Like, I sense from his reaction and the way he's talking into the camera, like he's had his rant and his rage moment, and now he's just kind of like he's settled with it, and he's making this video while he's not in that heightened state of emotion, which is a good idea. You don't want to create a video when you're like all amped and hyped and angry. So I feel like this is like a toned down version of it.
I mean, show us terrain manipulation, show us light building, show us placing terrain assets. But like showing a car driving over the terrain and leaving mud prints in the dirt was not impressive to me, guys. And I know this is going to seem very ticky-tacky, but this was the start of my concerns, and I'll explain why.
Okay, was I impressed? I did a reaction video to that too. I mean, it wasn't anything that we hadn't seen before, right? In a sense, because the biome was the same, right? The forest and the cliffs and the mountains, they were the same. So we've already seen that. We've already seen the textures and the nice trees and everything else. So in that sense, there was nothing new. With regards to the buggy driving, was I overly impressed? At the time, I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. That's kind of nice. But then as other videos surfaced from the other content creators saying, hey, this is just a Unity asset, and then Nathaniel pretty much coming out and saying, yeah, no, it is a Unity asset and it's a placeholder. I'm just showing you the physics, which I didn't really see much of. I watched it again. I was like, do you mean the physics is in like the wind blowing or the physics of the car and the rocks? Because even then the physics wasn't that impressive. And I felt like that video was a reaction to all the scam videos, calling them out saying, hey, what progress have you had? And it was a knee-jerk reaction to that. And again, probably agree with Bowl Combo, probably did more harm than good having that knee-jerk reaction, because people just, ripped that to shreds. Other people came out with videos saying, hey, I did this in the Unity, I bought the asset in the Unity store and I did this within, an hour, 2 hours. And, of course it was a dumbed down version, but you could actually see, I guess in context and with some more knowledge, it wasn't that impressive.
So, was not impressed with the video they released. I thought it was completely out of touch with the concerns that were being levied. I thought it was almost laughable to an extent. They showed us nothing that we can expect in the near future, and honestly, they showed us nothing we would even care about. I mean, if they were to roll out the platform tomorrow, I'm not going to care if cars leave tracks in the dirt. I want to know if I can build a game world and I can build an experience. If I can actually set a car on my land. I mean, give me that ability first before you show me that the car's going to leave marks in the mud.
He wants to break out.
He
cut there because he probably
like just
shit himself laughing.
Address the issues with Tanner. I was not at all a fan of this. I did not think that this video needed to be released. In fact, I felt like he completely overlooked and ignored the fact that Tanner lied on a voice chat. Which is a terrible look for the platform. Right there, that should be grounds for termination by most employers, especially since you're breaking NDA and a whole bunch of other things. So rather than, be honest and address the fact that Tanner messed up and he shouldn't have said what he said, but that there's no other issues going on as well, that would have been the way to do it, rather than jumping in there and creating a video that says, leave Tanner alone, he's a kid. And while this might be true, and bullying is a very real thing, what about your content creators?
So I said a very similar thing in another video that I did addressing that Shane video, and in it I was also very frustrated, and having rehashed it through the Bowl Combo's video, it again infuriated me. It really pissed me off, just because. And man, it's gonna come across like I'm making personal attacks on Shane. I hope it doesn't come across that way. I don't really mean to, but I am venting my frustration here. That whole situation was so ridiculous. If that is indeed Tanner and his voice on there, they just completely ignored it. They completely ignored that a junior dev that they just recently hired on a trial basis has just gone out there and talked shit, just complete shit, spreading rumors. Like, granted, he didn't know that he was being recorded, but it's during those moments when you're not being recorded that your true colors come out, right? It's when you say stuff like that, thinking that no one's listening, that when your true color shows. And it just shows you that maybe he's a deceptive kid. He doesn't like to tell the truth, and other people have called him pathological lie. I don't know the guy. I'm not going to call him that, but at least from that video, that he was going around saying stuff that was untrue, and it just annoys the out of me that Shane comes out with these stupid ass video, right? After all these scam videos is being launched at him for weeks, comes out with a stupid video about cyberbullying. Like, okay, we get it. Like, we don't. You're not the bloody CEO of cyberbullying and some cyberbullying foundation. That's not your job. You are the CEO, and he keeps talking about how he's not a, he's not good on video and whatever, man. It's like, I just feel like you're the CEO. You need to have those skills. It should be innate. Like, leadership skills. You do presentations, you talk, you convince. How do you go into a bloody, meeting with certain big partners and try to convince them to invest in your platform? Like, there has to be some level of charisma, right? You're a leader, right? Lead by example, lead from the front, motivate, encourage, show them how it's done. And yet you come out and say, oh, I'm a private person. I'm not very good at videos. Okay, well, if you're not very good at videos, don't use the one video that you're going to make and talk about cyberbullying. Use that one video that you're going to make, since you're so crap at making videos, to talk about something with substance and make some rebuttal, make an argument, tell us why they're wrong and why we should, maintain our support in the Earth2 platform. But again, totally ignores the fact that someone in his team has just done something really deceptive. So, oh man, that just burnt me. It just really, really infuriated me. And in a way, I went down the rabbit hole, and that spiraled in my mind. I started ruminating on that. I probably shouldn't have, but I just said, man, if that's how you are, and that's how you react, and that's how you react when someone in your team has done something like that, it just taints my image of your company. Now I know you don't really run your company very well. Can I now trust you? Granted, I didn't put a lot of money, but had I put a lot of money in and invested in your platform, you've just raised some red flags, and now my concern is, can I really trust your leadership now moving forward?
Being selfish or wanting some sort of exclusive privilege or treatment, and that is so completely far from the case. And this isn't even about me. Obviously, I'm still here. I'm still making content. But I mean, look at Meta, for instance. Earth2 Meta had to completely close his channel down because it was affecting his personal life. Because this hate was affecting his personal life, and it was being fueled by the stupid decisions that the Earth2 team has been making. It's not
the stupid decisions. Now that Meta's kind of somewhat moved on from Earth2, Meta, you make great content, right? You make really good content. You're thorough, you're well researched, you're well spoken, because you've got that British accent, right? You sound refined, not as bogan as a lot of us. So it's like, okay, put Earth2 behind you, come back on the YouTube platform, mate. Just come back and do sandbox stuff if you want to, or just keep creating other content, branch out. The point is, we really enjoyed your content, and we enjoyed listening to your insight, your opinion. Whether it's Earth2 or anything else, people would still be interested. And I think the professionalism that Meta has brought, and Odyssey and Bowl Combo for that matter as well, but the professionalism that Meta brought to this Earth2 platform, like, he was the go-to, but what he brought to the platform can be translated over to other content and other genres and other niches as well. So I encourage Meta to come back.
Not only is the Earth2 team not stepping up
to YouTube,
defend their content creators, but they're also fueling the fire that's generating this hate toward them. And that's not acceptable, guys. That is just not acceptable by any means. That leads me to my next piece of concern, and this is, again, probably one that could be viewed as impatience, but I think that there's some deeper stuff going on here, guys. The team has been very emphatic, especially Shane has been very emphatic, that early users, and especially users that choose to stay in and support the platform, will be rewarded for that level of support and dedication.
The head scratch. It's like,
I see zero way.
He's angry. I'm telling you. He's frustrated.
$100,000 into this platform. In fact, I've seen zero features released that reward people.
Odyssey dropped. How much did Odyssey drop? Odyssey, he wanted to buy the Vatican, right, for $50,000. He ended up buying part of the Pentagon or something, like some KGB. I can't remember, but Odyssey ended up dropping like $50,000.
That put that level of money into this platform. And you might not think that's a big deal, but it is, and here's why. Other crowdfund style platforms usually have an upper limit to the amount of money you can input to support said project. Take Kickstarter, for instance. They have tiers to the level of support you can provide, with an upper level tier being the highest level of support you can provide to a company. Why do they do that? Because they want to ensure that when the product or platform is released, they can properly reward everybody based on the support tier. Again, how do you reward somebody that's put over $100,000 into this platform? There's nothing you can roll out for the foreseeable future that is going to reward somebody to that level. Many will argue that the tile flipping opportunity is reward enough, but I think that's absolutely ridiculous. So the next thing that
I also think that's ridiculous, because tile flipping, there's a skill in it, right? You have to be dedicated. You have to do your research. You have to kind of market it. You have to spend time. There's an art form in buying something and then flipping it for a capital gain, and not everyone wants to do that. Some people just want to buy a whole bunch of land so they can like then build a whole big city. So while I understand their argument could be, hey, the more land you buy, the more you invest, there's more opportunity of flipping, but not everyone's good at that. And I do appreciate him saying that, certain other Kickstart programs, there's tiers. So right now, like, they're rewarding the investors or players with jewels, but yeah, it's so if they are rewarding the players with jewels, then it technically means the more tiles you have, the more jewels you should get, right? If they're rewarding you, if they're rewarding the high investors, the people that have spent the most money, the people that have bought the most tiles, then technically you would think that would correlate, that the more tiles you have, the more jewels you'll get, because the purpose is to reward you.
really irked me and that really bothered me and set off some red flags for me was the PvP and Jewels announcement. First off, PvP and Jewels, the start of an economic simulator. Those two things, an economic simulator and PvP, sure, they might make up part of the metaverse that is within Ready Player One, but they are by no means the main features or the main function of a metaverse. An economic simulator and PvP are literally just two different game genres. Even if you combine them together, it falls so incredibly short of being defined as a metaverse. A metaverse, first and foremost, needs to have a level of social ability, social interaction, and that's something that Earth2 completely lacks. There is zero social tools within the Earth2 platform. If we were
definitely within the Earth2 platform, there's no social platform. Like, there's no chat function. You would love to be able to chat to the person that has bidded on your tile and go back and forth and have a genuine conversation with that person, but there is no option at all. Even people have gone and made Facebook groups just for the sake of having a social platform. They have an Instagram, but I don't even know if there is a official one. And if there is any content on that, I don't know if there's a Twitter. Everyone just seems to follow Shane. There's an official Discord, which is just I don't know. I mean, if Discord is the best you can get when it comes to socials in 2021, you've got problems, right? I mean, from the get-go, it showed that not everyone was aware of Discord or knew how to use it or knew what it was about or how to access it. And a few of my early videos where I was copying, pasting question and answers from Nathaniel and the other devs, and I made it into a video, that got a decent amount of views for that time, because people were like, "Oh, I'm not going to be bothered going into Discord and searching, the questions and answers." And again, it speaks to the fact that I just think their Discord channel is the worst way to make announcement. It's just so inefficient and so ineffective. Again, my feeling is Shane needs to hop on a video and just say what he needs to say in literally 2 minutes. If you read what he had written down in his announcement, it'd probably be literally 2 minutes worth of reading.
The previous version of the sandbox was a side-scrolling builder for mobile iPhone and Android. It was nothing like what you see now. This has only come about in about 2 years and 7 months worth of work. Actually less, because the game builder dropped less than a year after Animoca Brands bought the Sandbox brand and turned it into what we now know as the Sandbox game. So things can move very quickly, guys, and platforms can absolutely make a lot more progress than what you're seeing.
Yes, so the point is, we don't expect them to create a Ready Player One metaverse, right? Let's be honest. We don't expect them or any current game development company right now to make that. You know, give me the biggest, most funded game development company. They're not going to create a Ready Player One metaverse. Okay, so we already can accept that. I think what Bolcombo is saying is, with money, with funding, things can progress faster than they have with Earth2. And I also believe that to be true with zero game development experience. But yeah, I have a gut feeling. I feel like from what I've seen from past games, if you just throw money, like 50 million up to this point, they can be further ahead than where they are, especially given that phase 2 was launched with those jewels. Like Bolcombo said, didn't flash, didn't spin, wasn't 3D, wasn't holographic, literally just flat images, poorly drawn graphics. So
here, I don't for one second think that you guys should be believing anyone that says this takes a lot of time. Because yes, Ready Player One takes a lot of time, but there are so many other game features that should already be available and should already be here for us with this level of money that's been put into this platform. There is zero reason why we're still relying on Nathaniel to be the lead developer here, and there's not a huge team surrounding him working. There's zero reason why we haven't seen footage of some 3D aspect of Phase 2. Because if you really think that people are going to stick around on a grid view for another 2 years until Phase 3, you're crazy. It's been a very recent
100%, you're crazy.
set of developments. There's a game builder, there's a world builder, large partners that have come in and bought large sections of land with the intent of building experiences. I mean, a couple months ago, My Name is Human podcast had someone from Republic Realm or Republic Real Estate on there talking about Earth2 and about virtual land. Republic Real Estate reached out to Earth2 and they never heard anything back. You know, a couple weeks later, they spent $900,000 in Decentraland to build a virtual mall. That's not the way you want a company operating, and it's because of these reasons that I just don't feel confident covering the platform right now. Couple that with the fact I have nothing to do, and it just makes it very difficult to come up with content.
There's literally nothing to do, guys. Like, you know, though I started off with Earth2 content, and you know, the initial phases, there was a lot to speculate about and there's a lot to talk about. Right now it's just like a dead fish flopping around. There's literally nothing. That's why I can totally understand like big content creators pulling out or stepping back, especially people like Meta, for example. Like, ignore all the drama. I think, like I said earlier in the video, up until this point there's nothing going on, so I reckon even Meta would have stepped backwards.
Videos to focus on something that has nothing to do. I mean, I could have done a video on jewels, but we don't even know how they're actually going to function once resources drop. We just know there's some sort of increase to production level. And you know, all of these unknowns have just really made me sour on the experience currently. And that is why I branched out to try to find other metaverse experiences. And in doing so, I was exposed to the fact that Earth2 is very behind the curve. There are so many platforms. I mean, there's 5 or 6 platforms right now that have the exact same goal as Earth2 that already have. It's going to make people unhappy. They're either going to be unhappy because they don't agree with me, or they're going to be unhappy because they invested in a platform that now people are calling into question, or they're going to be unhappy just because Earth2 is making them unhappy right now.
Yeah, and I think people need to, you know, acknowledge that there is a sense of cognitive bias in these things. Like when you invest your own money, Like everything becomes personal, all right? Nothing is personal when you don't have to invest money, but as soon as you invest your own money, you take everything a bit more seriously. Like just think about, going through the medical system here in Australia. You have Medicare, where you get, the government subsidized medical crap looked after for, and then you have private health. And as soon as you have to pay a little bit extra to get covered by private health insurance, you expect more. You expect a higher level of service and higher quality of service. So we have to appreciate that because people have sunk in so much money, and maybe some not so much money, but still there's that level of expectation there, and people will get upset because their cognitive bias kicks in and says, hey, I put money in this. I want this to work. And then there's the really big, strong, supporters, that support group out there that are unwavering, and good on them. I think Earth2 needs you guys. So, remain steadfast and strong. But those guys will not sway because I think they've also got a lot invested in it. And maybe they are visionaries. Honestly, maybe they just can see stuff that we can't see. It always comes back down to, well, Bitcoin was this, you guys are going to look back. Okay, look, maybe we will. But I'm not one to look back and be like, oh, well, regret the fact that, hey, I could have bought Bitcoin at $300.
No, and all of those are completely understandable, but regardless, I didn't feel like I could go any longer without making this video, because these are all emotions that I've had and feelings that I've had for a while. And
strong emotions too.
Chat, if you've had personal communication with me over the last few weeks, these are my feelings on it. This is my stance on it. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not nothing I can do. There's nothing.
So yeah, look, the video's long enough, but I'll finish it there. Look, Bowl Combo pretty much says, if you haven't looked at it, watch the video, please go watch the video and give it a thumbs up like I have. But yeah, he essentially says he's going to step back. If there's updates, then he'll probably cover it. But for the most part, he's going to focus on something else or other platforms. And I know he's covering Sandbox at the moment. That is, they're making decent progress, and I think he's linked in with a few of the people in the development team. So good on Bowl Combo for stepping up and stepping out of Earth2 for the time being. He said he will be back though. So yeah, man, look, I feel it. I feel a shift in the Earth2 community sentiment. There's some new people, actually. Some new people come in and say, oh, I've just recently bought, 6 tiles or 7 tiles. Why aren't I getting my jewels? Guys, you left it too late. Like, the ones that are getting pages and pages of jewels, they bought thousands of tiles at really cheap prices. Like, you guys are buying at the top of the cycle now. If we're looking at a bloody crypto chart, you're buying at the top. All right, so there's always not a good time to buy. Wait for this thing to crash, and then maybe you get a chance. But maybe they'll release like Land Class 4 all of a sudden, and then that's just going to flip everything on its head. But look, long video. Sorry about long video. If you made it this far, then good on you guys. So that's it. Look, I appreciate all you guys listening. I'm going to continue making content for Earth2 when anything does come out. But yeah, completely 100% agree with what every Bowl Combo has said. There's lacking in content, and people have moved on, and eventually you're just not going to have enough people covering Earth2 if the company continues to drag their feet. And I don't want to put a fire up their ass so they can get going, because evidently that happened with those scam videos. I think a fire was lit underneath them, and what happened, they came out with that buggy video, and they also came out with jewels. And sometimes it's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because the community gets bored and they scream out for when phase 2, and then you release a half-assed phase 2, and then you rip to shreds anyway because it looks appalling. So look, I at least acknowledge that it's a fine line to walk, and it's a difficult path that they're working on to try and deliver this Ready Player One metaverse, whenever that will happen. But with that said, guys, thank you for listening, thank you for the support, thank you for the love, and I'll catch you guys next time.